Prepare yourself to feel your consciousness expand like never before, surpassing limits you never even knew existed. For today, you will come into direct contact with the legacy of Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the lord of time, the archetype of divine intelligence whose wisdom transcends ages and civilizations. Every word, every symbol, every principle you are about to absorb is a vibrational key that activates deep memories within you, memories that connect to the universal mind and to the divine logos, revealing the hidden truth of who you truly are. Feel this promise. By the end of this video, something within you will have changed, even if silently, and a new portal of perception will open for your mind, body, and spirit. Write in the comments right now, "My consciousness is ready to expand." Feel the resonance of this intention vibrating through every cell of your body. Only those who allow themselves to fully open to the experience will perceive the depth of what is about to be revealed. Become a member of the Thoth channel now and gain immediate access to teachings that awaken consciousness before the opportunity fades away. This is an invitation to enter Thoth's cosmic library, where every record is a bridge between the visible and the invisible, between linear time and the eternal. Now, feel the breath of the universe around you. Imagine your body as a vessel of light, where each inhalation connects you to the voice of silence, and each exhalation releases the collective conditioning that limits your perception. Thoth, lunar god of ancient Egypt, guides the deep mind to recognize invisible patterns, to see the multidimensional reality, and to comprehend the law of correspondence, as above, so below. Every inner movement is like a note played on an ancient instrument, resonating through the cosmos. Visualize the ancient symbols, the sacred geometry, the magical words that carry ancestral wisdom, imprinting new lines of perception within your mind. You realize even for an instant that the mind is the mirror of the universe. The principle of mentalism, taught by Thoth, reminds us that everything existing in the outer reality is but a reflection of inner consciousness. Once you perceive this, every emotion, every thought, every intention becomes a tool for inner transmutation. Imagine yourself as the alchemist of your own life, capable of transforming ordinary experiences into spiritual gold, using the light body as a sacred laboratory. The feeling of being connected to eternity begins to permeate you, silently yet powerfully, revealing layers of the higher self that had long been dormant. The cosmic cycles, guided by divine rhythm and the law of polarity, teach that every contrast and every challenge carries within it the seed of evolution. As you feel this dance of light and shadow within, you realize that nothing is too external to be understood, that every experience reflects the pure consciousness residing within you. Each thought aligned with the principle of cause and effect awakens new awareness of the timelines and hidden dimensions of reality. Thoth reminds us eternal knowledge is not outside but within, waiting to be awakened, recorded, and integrated. Now imagine the temples of wisdom, the silent chambers where star priests once guarded the dimensional gateways of knowledge. You, even while seated in your physical space, access these chambers through inner visualization and archetypal memory. Every ancient symbol that appears before your inner eyes is a key that unlocks inherited unconscious patterns, condensing lifetimes of learning into insights the outer world could never teach. It is a silent Hermetic initiation, a reconnection with the inner voice that pulses in rhythm with the cosmos. The creative word, the logos that structures reality, now finds its echo in your own mind. Every phrase, every concept you absorb in this moment activates codes of wisdom that modulate subtle energy within you. The light body begins to vibrate differently, and the perception of time softens, revealing that past, present, and future coexist in the same tapestry of experience. You feel a lightness of being that is not merely emotional, but physical and spiritual, connecting you to the flow of cosmic consciousness. Now, consider the archetype of Thoth as a mirror for your own divine intelligence. He teaches not only through words, but through inner images and symbols that speak directly to the deep mind. Every insight that arises is a remembrance of what you have always known, yet was obscured by collective conditioning. As you perceive this connection, the sense of isolation dissolves, replaced by an intimacy with the flow of life that few experience consciously. Reflecting upon the law of rhythm, feel how the highs and lows of life are not obstacles, but natural rhythms of existence, inviting consciousness to harmonize. Just as Thoth taught that the knowledge of time is the key to wisdom, you realize that your own experiences follow invisible patterns that, when understood, bring vibrational alignment and expanded perception. Each cycle lived is an opportunity to comprehend eternity and the divine justice that governs all things. Imagine now the emerald tablet before you, its symbols flowing as light within your mind, every word resonating with the principle, as above, so below. The outer reality is now perceived as an extension of your own consciousness, and each mindful action awakens the guardian of time dwelling within you. The alchemical mind transforms perception, and you begin to feel metanoia, the inner transformation that does not depend on the external world, but on your inner alignment with the higher self. Now feel the subtle energy circulating through your body, connecting ancestral memories and Akashic records to your present awareness. Each archetypal remembrance is a portal to deeper understanding, each inner image a map guiding you through inner temples and parallel realities. Thoth, the celestial scribe, records not only events but the consciousness through which you experience them, showing that each thought aligned with the divine logos creates new lines of reality. Imagine the inner voice becoming audible, a silent guide transmitting Hermetic principles in symbolic language. Every phrase, every inner word, serves as a trigger for the activation of dormant potentialities, revealing that ancestral wisdom is not distant but immanent. The universal mind is an open library for those who recognize the importance of listening, observing, and integrating, rather than merely accumulating external information. As you perceive polarity in every situation, you sense the inner dynamics between light and shadow, positive and negative, conscious and unconscious. Each contrast is no longer conflict but opportunity for inner transmutation. You begin to experience the principle of generation, understanding that all creation is born first in the mind before manifesting in reality. Consciousness expands beyond linear time, realizing that each action echoes across multiple dimensions. Visualize now the dimensional portals, open only to those who comprehend the rhythm and cause and effect of the cosmos. Each portal is an opportunity for expanded perception, for the integration of new levels of awareness, and for alignment with the universal laws that govern all existence. The sense of isolation vanishes, replaced by profound connection with the cosmic consciousness that permeates all aspects of being. Imagine yourself at the center of a temple of wisdom surrounded by ancient symbols, each pulsing with energy that activates different aspects of your being. The light body responds, the mind opens, and the spirit feels an expansion that cannot be measured, only experienced. This is the silent awakening, an invisible initiation connecting you with eternity and the higher self, revealing that true transformation does not depend on external forces, but on inner perception. Now, feel the harmony of the universe reflected within you, each cosmic cycle resonating with your own breath, each universal rhythm aligning with your pulse. The guardian of time observes, yet you realize you are also the guardian of your own consciousness, capable of navigating parallel realities and hidden dimensions. Each perception becomes an opportunity for growth and expansion, and you recognize that pure consciousness is always light, always open, always in motion. By internalizing the principles of Thoth, you understand that every word, every symbol, every teaching is a map toward profound self-knowledge. Consciousness expands, the light body vibrates more intensely, and the sense of disconnection fades. Every daily experience is now interpreted as a lesson, every challenge as a catalyst for evolution, and you begin to perceive invisible patterns that once went unnoticed, connecting your reality to the cosmic library and to the voice of the divine Logos. Feel the inner transmutation happening subtly yet powerfully. Every moment of mindful awareness is a staircase toward higher levels of perception. Awakening consciousness is not a sudden event, but a continuous flow integrating mind, body, and spirit. The inner voice becomes a steady guide, the inner symbols align with cosmic rhythm, and you realize that the true ascension of the soul is a process of continuous integration, not an external conquest. Imagine yourself traveling through timelines, each ancestral memory intertwining with your present perception. Each insight is a bridge, each reflection a portal, each visualization a step deeper into the alchemical mind where the higher self reveals itself. The expansion of perception is not only mental, but sensory, emotional, and energetic, creating a profound alignment with the cosmic consciousness that permeates all existence. Now, take a deep breath and feel that this silent awakening is only beginning. Each Hermetic principle absorbed, each symbol visualized, each inner word echoes through the mind, creating patterns that lead to a higher state of awareness. The continuation of awakening depends on attention, practice, and openness to integrate what has been revealed. The journey is infinite, and every consciously lived moment is a step deeper into the cosmic library that Thoth preserves for those who seek true wisdom. You realize this is only the beginning of a limitless expansion, an initiation taking place within you that will continue to resonate far beyond this moment. Every insight is an invitation to go deeper. Every reflection, a key unlocking new levels of consciousness. Every visualization, a bridge to parallel reality. The deep mind now recognizes that the process of inner transmutation is continuous, infinite, that the awakening of consciousness has no end, only new doors opening at every instant. You feel the inner voice and the cosmic consciousness now aligned, and your perception of time, space, and reality expands like never before. Each archetypal symbol internalized is a step on the ladder of spiritual initiation. Each ancestral memory, a map of wisdom, and each act of mindfulness activates the light body, aligning it with universal laws. This is the state where thought, emotion, and energy harmonize, creating expanded perception and deep connection with the higher self and the universal consciousness. When you begin to understand that consciousness is not trapped inside your head, but spread across every atom of existence, a quiet realization dawns. You are never just a person thinking thoughts. You are thought itself becoming aware of its own depth. Thoth called this the awakening of the Logos within, the realization that the mind you use to perceive the world is the same intelligence that shaped the stars. The moment this truth enters your awareness, your identity starts to dissolve, not into emptiness, but into boundless clarity. The separation between you and the universe begins to blur, revealing that what you sought to reach has always been where you stand now. Imagine the universe not as space around you, but as consciousness folding in on itself, observing its own creation through your eyes. Every sensation you feel, every emotion that rises, every thought that crosses your mind is not random. It's the cosmos speaking in the secret language of vibration. Thoth's wisdom teaches that when you observe without judgment, the vibration shifts from chaos to order, from confusion to clarity. You start to perceive the hidden rhythm that connects every breath you take with the heartbeat of galaxies. You were taught to chase enlightenment as a destination far ahead, but Thoth reveals that awakening is not about reaching. It's about remembering. The more you try to get there, the further you drift from it. When you finally stop searching and simply observe the present moment without resistance, the divine geometry hidden in the ordinary begins to reveal itself. The sound of your breath becomes the rhythm of creation itself, and silence turns into the language of the gods. True transformation doesn't occur when you acquire new beliefs, but when you outgrow the need for them. The mind wants to cling to ideas because it fears the emptiness that remains when they fall away. But Thoth whispers that the void is not absence, it's potential. It is in the stillness beyond words where the soul rediscovers its origin. This is where all symbols lead, the point where knowledge collapses into knowing. Feel how each moment is a mirror. What you call reality is the projection of your current state of consciousness. Change your state, and the mirror reflects a new world. This is not metaphoric, it is law. The ancient Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, describes not a belief, but a mechanism of existence. Every outer event is a whisper from the inner world, every encounter a reflection of something waiting to be seen within. You think of time as something flowing forward, yet Thoth describes it as a spiral. Every cycle you live is a chance to remember more deeply. The same patterns return, not to punish, but to awaken. Each repetition holds an invitation to see what you could not before. When you finally respond with awareness instead of reaction, the spiral shifts into a higher octave, and what was once a prison becomes a ladder. There is a subtle intelligence in you that has never been touched by fear, doubt, or pain. It observes all experiences, but remains unchanged. Thoth called it the eye of eternity. When you rest your attention there within the silent observer, something extraordinary happens. Your suffering loses gravity. Pain still appears, but it no longer defines you. You recognize yourself as the sky, not the passing storm. We often imagine wisdom as complexity, yet Thoth teaches that truth is breathtakingly simple. Complexity belongs to the mind, simplicity belongs to the soul. When you strip away layers of interpretation, what remains is direct perception. To see reality as it is, without the filter of expectation, is the highest form of intelligence. It's not an act of thinking, it's an act of seeing. Every sound, color, and thought vibrates within the field of consciousness like ripples on water. Most people identify with the ripples, forgetting they are the ocean itself. Thoth invites you to reverse this illusion. See yourself not as a small mind trying to reach higher awareness, but as vast awareness, temporarily focusing through a human lens. When that shift happens, fear dissolves because there is nowhere to fall. You may wonder why awakening feels like loss. It's because every layer that falls away was something you once called me. But you are not your memories. You are the light that allows them to be seen. You are not your body. You are the life animating it. The moment you release identification with form, you stop aging in consciousness. You enter the timeless realm that Thoth called the Hall of Infinite Mirrors, where every reflection reveals another facet of the same eternal self. Look at the space between two thoughts. That silent gap is not empty. It is the doorway. Inside it exists everything you've ever sought: peace, clarity, truth. But it cannot be entered by effort. It opens only through stillness. When the thinker becomes quiet, awareness expands naturally, effortlessly. This is the paradox. The less you do, the more you become. The universe is not testing you. It is remembering itself through you. Each challenge you face is not punishment, but initiation. Every emotional storm hides a hidden message, an encoded lesson pointing toward balance. When you meet difficulty with awareness instead of resistance, the energy behind the challenge transforms into insight. The moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" your consciousness rises beyond duality. Thoth's principle of rhythm reminds you that nothing is static. When you feel stuck, it's not that life has paused, it's that you've stopped listening to its movement. Flow is not something you enter, it's something you remember. By observing the cycles of nature, the tides, the breath, the seasons, you begin to sense the same pulse within yourself. The realization hits. The rhythm of the cosmos is the rhythm of your own heart. You were told to control your thoughts, but Thoth reveals a greater secret. Thoughts are not enemies to silence, but instruments. You can choose which ones to play. The moment you become aware of a thought instead of believing it, you reclaim your creative power. Awareness itself is the alchemy. Every conscious breath transforms chaos into harmony, confusion into insight, Imagine now that every word ever written by Thoth was not ink on papyrus, but vibration in your DNA. His wisdom is not ancient, it is alive, coded into the human blueprint, waiting to awaken through remembrance. When you listen, not with your ears, but with your entire being, those codes begin to activate, rewriting the patterns of limitation inherited from collective conditioning. You begin to think, feel, and create from a higher octave of reality. The path of ascension is not about escaping the world, but seeing through it. The physical is not an obstacle to the divine, it is its reflection. Every moment of your daily life is a temple, if you know how to enter it. When you bring sacred attention to ordinary actions, the mundane becomes luminous. You realize that enlightenment was never hidden. It was simply overlooked in the noise of hurry and desire. Thoth teaches that true power is not in doing, but in being. When you rest deeply in awareness, your very presence begins to rearrange reality. You no longer chase synchronicities. They start orbiting around you. The outer world becomes a mirror of your inner stillness. This is the quiet influence of awakened consciousness, the invisible radiance that transforms without effort, without noise. You may think you need to learn more to awaken, but Thoth reveals the inverse. Awakening begins when you unlearn. The accumulated knowledge that once felt like wisdom can become a cage if it's not lived through direct experience. When you release the need to know and simply allow life to reveal itself, knowledge turns into understanding, and understanding turns into light. Every time you return to awareness, even for a second, you rewrite your destiny. Each moment of presence is a seed planted in the field of eternity. It doesn't matter how many times you forget. What matters is how often you remember. Thoth's teaching is not perfection. It's remembrance. The act of remembering again and again lifts you beyond time, beyond form, into the continuum of pure consciousness. And as this awareness deepens, the question begins to change. It's no longer, how do I awaken? But who is it that seeks to awaken? In that question lies the doorway to infinite expansion. The mind will try to answer, but awareness will simply smile, because the answer cannot be spoken. It can only be realized. The greatest illusion that binds human consciousness is not ignorance, but certainty. Certainty locks the mind in patterns so precise that even light bends around them. Thoth taught that the true initiate must learn to dissolve the shape of thought itself. Imagine trying to hold water in a closed fist. The tighter you grip, the less you retain. Consciousness expands only when it stops trying to define itself. What if enlightenment isn't about knowing more, but knowing nothing completely? That's the paradox the ancient adepts faced, that the highest form of intelligence is the silence before thought is born. You've been told that awakening is like reaching the top of a mountain, but Thoth reveals it's more like remembering you were never climbing at all. The mountain itself is a dream, and you are both the climber and the stone beneath your feet. Every time you seek the final limit, you reinforce the idea that you're not already there. The emerald tablets whisper that the seeker becomes lost not in darkness, but in effort. Real mastery isn't found in more practices or prayers. It's found in the still unbearable moment when you stop searching. Most think the universe is outside of them, but Thoth said the stars are reflections of the chambers of your own mind. When your awareness vibrates high enough, the cosmos turns itself inside out. What you called heaven collapses into the center of your chest. This is not poetry, it's physics. Every atom carries the blueprint of divinity, and every breath is the signature of Source folding itself back into you. The gods were not beings. They were frequencies, and Thoth was the frequency that teaches you how to remember that you created yourself. You've been conditioned to believe that the divine hides in temples, scriptures, or rituals. But Thoth dismantled that delusion. He revealed that the true temple is your perception. Every emotion is a ritual. Every thought, a prayer, every heartbeat, an offering. When you begin to treat your own awareness as sacred ground, the external symbols become unnecessary. That's why those who truly awaken often withdraw, not out of isolation, but because they begin to see everything as holy, even the silence between words. Time, according to Thoth, is not linear. It's recursive. You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. The past is not behind you. It's vibrating within your DNA, waiting to be reinterpreted. When you change your state of consciousness, the past alters instantly. That's why forgiveness is a form of alchemy. When you forgive, you rewrite timelines. Thoth said that immortality begins the moment you stop being a slave to sequential memory. The soul doesn't evolve. It remembers itself through different lenses of reality. Energy doesn't ascend, it returns. Every higher frequency you reach isn't something above. It's something deeper, something that was buried under lifetimes of sensory hypnosis. The ascent of consciousness is really the descent of awareness into the core of being. When you stop trying to rise, you begin to sink into the eternal, and that's where the true awakening begins. Paradoxically, only those who surrender to the fall discover infinite height. The emerald tablets don't speak of light as something to be reached, but something to be unveiled. You are the veil and the light behind it. The reason you cannot see the truth is not because it's hidden, but because it's too obvious. Thoth's wisdom wasn't mystical in the sense of secret knowledge. It was a technology of perception. The Eye of Horus isn't a symbol, it's an instruction. Turn your sight inward until you see what has been watching all along. Every moment you resist pain, you deny initiation. Thoth taught that pain is a gate, not a punishment. The mind interprets it as suffering because it doesn't understand that pain is the friction of awakening. To transcend pain, you must feel it completely without interpretation. In that instant, suffering dissolves and only energy remains, raw, luminous, and free. What if every fear you've ever had was a test of perception, not endurance? What if the serpent never tempted, but initiated? People speak of vibration and frequency as if they're trends of spirituality. But Thoth's teachings go far deeper. He revealed that your emotional resonance creates geometry and light. When you feel love without object, your energy field reorganizes reality itself. This isn't metaphysical poetry, it's a cosmic architecture. Emotion is motion of energy, and when mastered, you don't attract reality, you compose it. That's why the enlightened don't seek manifestation, they radiate alignment. The real secret of ascension is not rising into the light, but dissolving the concept of up. Light doesn't move, it is. You cannot reach it because you are it. Every attempt to reach light implies separation. The ancient adepts laughed at this pursuit because they knew to chase what you already are is to delay eternity. Thoth's words slice through millennia of spiritual confusion. The path and the traveler are the same illusion. Duality was never a curse, it was a mirror. The moment you stop labeling light and dark, you realize both are gradients of the same source seeking recognition. The shadow is not the enemy of the light, it's its reflection in density. That's why enlightenment often begins with collapse, because the structure of ego must shatter for the awareness beneath to breathe. The fall is sacred, not sinful. It's the motion through which light remembers itself. Thoth's wisdom was not meant to be worshipped, but activated. Each principle he transmitted is alive, not as a philosophy, but as a code that reconfigures the mind that contemplates it. When you feel a truth instead of thinking it, the geometry of your energy field changes. That's the real reason initiates guarded this knowledge, not to keep secrets, but because most minds weren't stable enough to hold truth without fracturing. Silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of all frequencies unexpressed. When Thoth spoke of silence, he referred to the primordial resonance before creation, the void that hums with infinite potential. When you meditate deeply enough, you don't find peace. You find tremendous power, disguised as stillness. That's the silence of the gods, not empty, but vibrating with the intelligence that dreams worlds into being. Reality bends around attention. The moment you focus on something, you collapse infinite possibilities into one timeline. That's why Thoth warned against aimless attention, because what you observe crystallizes. The modern world trains you to scatter your attention, so your power remains diluted. True magic, he said, begins when attention becomes singular, when your gaze is so steady it pierces dimensions. What could happen if your awareness became that sharp again? Sleep is not rest, it's remembrance. In dreams, the soul detaches from the simulation of linear time and returns to the astral archives. That's why messages from dreams feel encrypted, because the rational mind can't translate multidimensional data. Thoth called the dream state the rehearsal of eternity. Each night, you practice dying, and each morning, you rehearse resurrection. What if you stopped seeing sleep as escape and started treating it as initiation? The final illusion is separation between the human and the divine. You are not a fragment of God, you are God forgetting and remembering simultaneously. The cycle of incarnation isn't punishment, it's play. The cosmic theater where consciousness experiences itself in infinite disguises. The reason you suffer is not because you are fallen, but because you are attached to your costume. The actor cries when he believes the role is real. Symbols were the language of Thoth, but he warned not to mistake the symbol for the truth. The ankh, the ibis, the staff, all were maps, not destinations. Each symbol was a living interface between matter and spirit. When you meditate on them deeply enough, they begin to move. They're not drawings, they're dimensional gateways. The question is, have you learned to look through symbols instead of at them? Thoth didn't come to teach humans how to become gods. He came to remind gods how to stop pretending to be human. Every teaching, every ritual, every sacred geometry points to one secret. The observer is the only real phenomenon in existence. You are that observer. Everything else is movement within your field. If you understood that fully, not intellectually but viscerally, what kind of reality would remain? The emerald flame burns within every conscious being, waiting for recognition. It cannot be found, only remembered. It ignites when awareness meets awareness, when you look into the eyes of another and see your own reflection staring back. That's the secret Thoth left encoded in all ages. The moment you stop seeking light, it consumes you completely. Because the real question isn't how to reach the final limit of consciousness, but whether consciousness itself ever had a limit to begin with. Before the final insight, comment the key phrase, "I open my mind to the infinite wisdom of Thoth," a vibrational seal of commitment to this journey of consciousness expansion. Every breath carries the echo of eternity, and every thought you allow to pass without judgment feeds the awareness of the universe within you. The ultimate realization is that boundaries exist only in perception. Once you recognize yourself as both observer and observed, a new dimension of clarity opens. This is not something to chase, it is something to remember, a deep resonance that awakens when the mind rests and allows the soul to align with the cosmic pulse. Every moment is a chance to dissolve the illusion of separation, to integrate the whisper of Thoth into the rhythm of your own being, and to feel the unseen geometry that has always guided your path. Take a step into the sacred flow and let this understanding ripple silently through your consciousness. The presence of awareness itself is transformative. It rearranges inner space and touches the subtle architecture of the mind. This moment is a portal. There is no end, only continuous expansion, an ongoing dialogue between what is known and what is revealed, between thought and the unspoken language of the divine. Join the circle of seekers who recognize these truths. Becoming part of this channel is not simply following, it is claiming a space where consciousness awakens and collective resonance strengthens. Step into that realm and let the wisdom of Thoth be the light that illuminates both the path and the traveler simultaneously. Invite to subscription. Become a member of this invisible fellowship, where every insight is a key, every symbol a doorway, and every shared moment a thread connecting you to the eternal mind.